So I decided to do a sketchbook tour of this old sketchbook that I got last year. It's from a company called Massery. If you can see the logo here, they sent it to me last year in exchange for posting a little bit about it on Instagram. It's a really nice sketchbook, and I wanted to show what's in here. Most of what's in here is stuff that I've already posted online, but there are a few things that I haven't, and those are the ones that are probably didn't come out very good. But I'll go ahead and show everything that's in here. So this sticker is by one of my favorite artists, Neva, I don't know how to say her name, Neva Hosking, who is on Instagram. She's pretty popular. The other ones I just bought at random places, like these cat stickers, and this is washi tape. So yeah. So it has this little pocket in the front, and I like to put things in here from when I travel. It's a nice small sketchbook, so I like to bring it with me when I travel places. And these are little pamphlets and tickets of places that I've been. A lot of these I like to use later on in my artwork. I like to, paste it or tape it into the paper and paint on top of it. But these have just been sitting here for a while. I don't think I'll ever use that. So it has this section where you can sort of write notes and do all kinds of things. I never really used it, I don't know why. I guess I could have drawn here too, but I just never did it. It's cute. So when I first got the sketchbook, I wanted to just sort of test out how gouache and inks and things like stamps would work on the paper. It worked out really well, but this was basically just a test drawing. This is another test drawing that I wanted to do with gouache. This was another test page where I was sort of trying out new colored pencils, and some inks and rolling stamps that protect your identity, things like that. So this was a plein air painting that I did last year. It was the first time I had done a plein air painting since moving to Japan, and I did it at a park. It was nice. I think that my technique for plein air painting has changed a lot since this. So this was a drawing that I did. It was inspired by a photograph. I'm not very pleased with how it came out because it's always bothered me that I drew this eye too close to her nose. Like, this one is in a normal place, but this eye is definitely too close to the middle of her face. So we'll just move on. So this is when I visited Kyoto last year. I decided I wanted to do a plein air painting every day. So this was the first day that I was there. I painted it in a park with a little waterfall. This was my second day, and I came across this really beautiful view of what I later found out was a very famous view of a temple called Hokanji. And I actually have an interesting story to go with this one. So in Japan, a lot of times fire hydrants are kept in these little wooden boxes, especially in Kyoto because everything is very traditional there, so they don't have it in a metal box, it's in a wooden box. And I had sat down on top of this to do this painting, and there was an old woman who came by. I don't know her, and she was very upset that I was sitting on the fire hydrant box, which honestly I probably shouldn't have been sitting on it. She got really mad at me, so I had to not sit on that anymore. But in the end I painted this, and I think it came out pretty good, so the price I pay to do this painting was getting yelled at by an old lady. So on the third day, I went to this beautiful mountain called Takao-san. same name, same pronunciation as another mountain called Takao-san in Tokyo, but this one has different kanji. Very beautiful, has 3 beautiful temples on the top of the mountain, and from this area here you can buy these little plates made out of clay, and you throw them off the top of the mountain. It's really a beautiful place. I highly recommend it. This was my last day in Kyoto last year, and this is from Arashiyama Eki, but it has these really beautiful lamps, these like vertical lamps that light up at night. And it's a beautiful place. So this is after Kyoto. I was experimenting with using washi tape in some of my drawings. This was when a friend and I visited a cafe to do some plein air painting. A test page that ended up having nothing but these eyes on it. So this was actually Inktober of last year, 2019. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it every day, but I wanted to do the ones that I could, so I believe this was the first day. I don't really remember. It was fun to draw. This was another of my Inktober drawings from last year. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Even looking at it now, I really don't like it. This was another Inktober from last year. I like how this one came out. This was from last fall, not Inktober, but I remember wanting to draw something related to the ginkgo leaves that fall down around this time of year. So this was a painting that I did last year, and I really don't like how it came out. I wanted to do something with these timetables. They're old train timetables, and I have a whole book full of them. I don't remember where I got them, but I thought they were cool and interesting, and if I pasted it to the paper, I could paint on top of it, but it didn't really work out very well. The paint doesn't have the right texture on top of these pages, so it came out pretty bad, and I never posted it anywhere. I tried to put a bunch of stickers on it to make it better. It didn't help. Anyways. This is another plein air painting, again from the new year. You can see it was on January 1st. So at the beginning of 2020, I decided to climb to the top of a mountain, the one called Takao-san, but not the one in Kyoto, the one in Tokyo. It's a really beautiful place, and it's actually a very famous event where you climb to the top of the mountain and wait for the first sunrise of the new year. So I think I got there around 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was on the top of this mountain in the bitter cold with my warmest clothes, but it still wasn't good enough, and I felt like I was dying. But when the sun finally came up, it was really the best feeling in the world. I had never wanted to see the sun so much as at that time. One of the problems with this drawing is that I had painted a red circle here, but because I painted it on top of this sort of plasticky sticker, it always peels off and sticks to the other side of the paper, but that's okay. This is another plein air drawing from one of my friend's apartments. With this drawing, I remember my inspiration being a box of matches that I bought at the convenience store here. they have like these really traditional sort of designs on them, and I thought it was really cool. These are actually the matches that were the inspiration for this drawing. Yeah. This is another plein air painting that I did with my friend. The mountain is called Nokogiri-yama, which means Sawtooth Mountain. We got to see this beautiful Buddha statue and did some painting. Another plein air painting. This one is from Ueno Koen, or Ueno Park. It was very rainy that day. Another plein air painting that I did by myself, again after climbing a mountain. This mountain is called Mitake-san. It's in the Tokyo area. You can get there by train. So this was in March of this year, right before coronavirus started to get pretty bad in the US. I had decided to visit my home in Florida, and I ended up having to leave the country early because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to come back to Japan. But I got to do a few plein air paintings when I was there. This was another plein air painting in Florida. So I did this painting after seeing a really beautiful sunset, and that was my inspiration for it. This is a plein air painting that I did at this really large Buddha statue called the Ushiku Daibutsu. It's a little bit far from where I live, but it was definitely worth it. This was the second time I visited. It was just as good as the first time. It's one of the biggest statues in the world. I love seeing it. This is a plein air painting from a really beautiful temple that I like to ride my bike to. It's about a 30-minute bike ride from where I live, but absolutely worth it. Honestly, if this temple was in Kyoto or another really touristy area, I'm sure it would be super famous, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere in Tokorozawa, and it has really beautiful dragons. Like, dragons are the theme of the temple, and they have them on the walls and on the buildings all over the place. Lots of dragons on the staircases, and I love it. So this is the last page in the sketchbook. I wanted to do something to match the sunset drawing from before for the last page. So when I did the sunset drawing, the weather was really beautiful. It was around May, and it was just starting to get warm. But when I painted this, it was Tsuyu, which is the rainy season in Japan, and I just get really sad when it rains. I like it to be warm and sunny. So every day when I open up the weather app, I would see this little icon, rain, 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 rain. And so I decided to do a painting about that. And that's it. That's the end of this sketchbook. It lasted me for about 1 year, and it's a really good sketchbook. I have a lot of really nice memories in here. Some of the pages are gone because I sold them last year, but most of them are still here. And I will treasure this sketchbook for a very long time. Thank you for listening.